Okay, so this is not your conventional how to study video. There might be tips here that don't agree with the tips that you've been seeing before on how to study, but I'm a big fan of doing what works for you. So try out the tips in this video and see if they actually work for you. The number one thing that I'm going to say is to maximize your flow state. There is something called the flow state, which basically means periods of very deep concentration that allow you to really lock in, and that kind of concentration helps you to get things done well and better. How do you maximize your flow state? Do not take breaks unless you are actually bored. When your break alarm rings, if you're not yet bored or tired, just stop the alarm and keep reading. This helps to have longer hours of uninterrupted study sessions, because when you take breaks, it's actually easier to get distracted. If your concentration is still very good and you're still in your reading mode, then you don't actually need a break yet. So maximize that to actually cover a lot more, and then take breaks when you actually need to take breaks. Now, another tip is during your breaks, don't stay in the same space where you're studying. Basically, when you're taking breaks, leave your study environment, take a walk away from that study space, walk outside, soak in the sun, interact a little with people, just do more stimulating activities. Staying in the same space when you're taking breaks actually makes the whole thing get too boring for you. So walk out of that space, take some fresh air, and then come back to continue your reading. Another thing that helps when you're studying for long hours is when you're getting bored or tired of reading, either switch to a different subject or you quiz yourself. Now, how exactly does this work? If you're planning to study for long periods of time, it's better to start with essay subjects like biology, where there are no calculations, because then you're still calm and you're able to process whatever information that you're taking in. But once you start to get bored, you can switch to an entirely different subject. For instance, a subject that has calculations. This helps to reduce the boring feeling, helps to switch up things for your brain. It makes things more interesting for you and helps your focus. Do not be monotonous. Right? Start with a subject, and when it gets too boring, switch to a different type of subject. And another thing, say for instance you have an exam tomorrow and it is this subject that you have to read, then what you should do is quiz yourself. Once it starts to get too boring for you, just start to ask yourself questions on what you've been reading before. If you're somebody that uses flashcards and all those other things, definitely go do that. Just do things that change the pattern of reading that you've been doing before to get things interesting for yourself again. Another tip for studying for long hours is to make your study session fun. Now, how exactly do you do this? Having a fixed face, a frowning face, an over serious look, all those things do not actually help when studying, because there's a way that your facial expression actually affects your mood. What you should do instead is to make studying fun and playful. Be a funny critic of what you're studying. For instance, say there's a particular word that you came across and it was looking so hard, but when you checked the meaning, it was actually a very simple meaning. You can be like, okay, why did you guys have to do this? Could you not have left it at the simple meaning? Like, just things that actually make it fun. Actually mock what you're studying. For instance, you're saying something about a law. You can criticize the person that brought the law and be like, okay, why did you have to do this to us? Now I have to learn this law because you brought it. Something like that. Just things that make it funny, or things that make it interesting, so that your reading stays interesting. Criticize what you're reading in a very funny way. Like, whenever you do those things, just actually smile, because when you smile, it has a way of keeping those good hormones up. When you're playing, it's easy because I mean you're smiling, you're laughing, and everything is fun. Do the same with your book. You don't have to be wearing that over serious look. No, associate what you're learning with already funny scenes that exist in your head. Use songs to code things if you have to. Another tip is stay hydrated and well fed. See, your brain thrives on glucose, so you have to eat and eat well on days that you're going to be studying for long hours. Do not stay on empty stomach. No, an hungry man is an angry man. You don't want to stay angry, no. So as much as possible, stay well fed and stay hydrated. It really helps your brain to work better. Then when you're starting your studying, start without the music. Usually when you start, your concentration is better because you've just started and all that, so you're still calm. You don't exactly need the music, so go without the music. But when you start to get bored or you start to get tired, you can now use music to get your brain more interested in what you're studying. And do not use distracting music. Personally, what I like to do is to keep a particular song on repeat for quite a while, because when I keep the song on repeat, after like the first or second time, the brain gets used to that sound and just sees the music like a background sound, so it stops focusing on the music and helps to focus on what I'm actually studying. That is how I like to do it. But again, do what works for you. Yeah, do what works for you. I really hope that you find the tips helpful to help you study for longer hours. I am going to see you in my next video. Bye.